Good morning, folks. Thank you all for joining me. My name is Abraham Dejene, and we'll get started in just another minute or two. Just want to provide an opportunity for everyone to join us. But while you're waiting, if you want to use this time to set yourself up in a way that may be conducive for your well-being this morning, or if you need to bring some movement to the body, I also encourage you to introduce that as well. So we'll get started in another minute or so. We just want to give everyone an opportunity to arrive into this moment. Movement early in the morning can often feel nice, but really being gentle to what your body may need. So whether you're rolling out the shoulders or the neck, really want to encourage you to be sensitive to what you need in this moment. So to continue to cultivate awareness by being present to what's needed right now, right here. All right, so why don't we go ahead and get started. Whether you're new to this session or you're a regular attendee to these Mind the Moment opportunities to be present to yourself, really just want to welcome each and every one of you and to know that you're welcome just as you are. So really encourage you to bring the entirety of who you are into this moment. My name is Abraham Dejene. I come here at different times throughout the year to offer these sessions. So really want to welcome each one of you to our Tuesday morning Mind the Moment, which is brought to you by Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare and Tufts Health Plan. And if you've been here before with me, often I like to start with a grounding practice, then I'll bring a topic in, and then we'll have a secondary practice as well. And then there may be opportunities at the end for folks to bring their voice in. So with that said, I want to really start with an opening practice. So whether you're sitting on your chair in front of the computer, at work or at home, I invite you to either lower the gaze or to close the eyes completely and begin to bring this awareness inwards. So often, most of us are engaged outwards with what's happening around us in our environment, but this opportunity to really to turn this awareness inwards, to see what's here for us right now in this moment. And with each exhale, seeing if there's a possibility to let go, to allow the body to become heavier onto the surface beneath it. So letting go of effort that does not serve you in this moment. This may mean allowing the shoulders to be released away from the ear, unlocking the jaw, intending to release the lower back or anywhere else in the body that could use a little bit more of compassion and care. So as you become aware of this body in this position, see what else could use a little bit more attention. And if you're noticing that the mind is wandering to everywhere else but this present moment, I invite you to continuously bring this attention back to the body and often the contact points where sensations may be more vivid can be resourceful. So maybe the feet on the floor for you, or the sit bone in the chair, or the hands resting on your legs or stacked on top of one another. So anytime you notice that the mind is distracted, the physical body that's happening in this present moment becomes a great tool for us to come back to what's here in this moment. And you may be aware of different thoughts, emotions, physical sensations. So every time you notice any of these qualities that are present for you, also be aware if there's any narrative or judgment that's attached to these thoughts and emotions. Or maybe it's an aversion. You want things to be different than how they are right now. Or possibly you don't want things to change. So there's maybe an attachment to this moment. So continue to kindly observe how you're relating to what's happening for you right now. And from this place of awareness, I want you to ask yourself, how am I in this moment? And then get really curious to what may be unearthed. So as you ask yourself that question, notice any thoughts, sensations, emotions, feelings that may present themselves. Once again, see if there's a possibility to notice what's coming up without any judgment. So whether you're noticing fatigue, joy, anxiety, stress, ease, pain, discomfort, whatever is being unearthed in this moment, is there a possibility to meet it with kindness, to make space for what's here right now? And since it's already here, even a possibility to befriend it, befriend whatever this moment is providing you. And from this place of awareness, notice if there's maybe a word or a phrase that captures how you are. And of course, words may be limited in what they're able to capture. And they may also be not knowing how you are, and that's okay too. Let's see if there's maybe a word or a phrase that best highlights how you are right here, right now. Not how you want to be, not how it should be, but how it is. And once you're able to capture this word or phrase for yourself, I invite you once again to come back to the body as a way to be grounded into this moment. And then when you're ready to transition, I invite you to bring some gentle movement to the hands, maybe opening and closing the hands, the toes, the ankle, maybe choosing to move the wrist. So a gradual progression as you bring more life back into the body. And this may mean a few rounds of intentional breathing, re-engaging the eyes. So whatever supports you as you transition from the formal practice to this informal conversation. And as a way to check the temperature in the room, just to see how we're all doing, that question was posed to you with the intentionality that a word or phrase may better illuminate how you are. And if you do care to share, don't hit enter yet, but go ahead and type directly either to me or to everyone a word or phrase that came up for you that best captures how you are right here and right now. So take the next 10, 15 seconds to type it out. Don't hit enter yet. Once again, you're in choice to share directly with me, to the whole group, or not share at all. That's what's called for. So maybe another 10 seconds or so. And then when you're ready, if you feel called for, go ahead and share how you are in this moment. And I'll let a few more come in. And then I'll bring our voices into the space. Pensive, distracted, excited, unsettled, open, overwhelmed, peaceful, short meditation, peaceful and slowed down. Yeah, so just as you notice the different voices that came through the chat and that wide range of experiences that people are having in this moment, and whether you're able to share or not, as you notice how you are in this moment, this becomes really, really good information for us. So often before we leave the house, we may check our phones for the weather, for the traffic pattern, so we could be better prepared to navigate the day. But so often we leave the house in the morning without actually checking in with how we are. What is the weather like inside? What's the traffic pattern like? So really want to encourage each one of us, whenever we have the opportunity, whether it's at the beginning of the day, in the middle of the day, or even at the end of the day, as a way to wrap up your day, really asking yourself, how am I in this moment? And then pausing to see what's available to you. And then using whatever information rises to the surface as a way to guide what comes next. Maybe you realize you're tired, you need to rest, or you're hungry, you need to eat, or your body has been stagnant, you need to move. But only that awareness that comes from checking in with ourselves can help us guide us into what awaits us next. With that said, I want to bring in the topic for this week. And this is something me and a friend have been discussing for the past few weeks. I thought it may be nice to also bring it into the space. So the question that I would pose out to the community, and really to myself as well as I'm working with this, is what are you holding on to that no longer serves you? So just notice what comes up for you, even at that as that question rises to the forefront of your experience. What is it that you're holding on to that no longer serves you? So really allowing for your awareness now to be vast enough just to notice how that question is landing for you. And often as I look at this question, and I've been intentionally working with it for the past month or so, I've been able to notice certain patterns and habits that once have served me, but no longer serve me. But because I wasn't awake to it, these habits and patterns keep showing up in my life because there's this connection, this historical connection that they did work for me at some point. Without actually checking in to see if that is still true, I've been continuously engaging in these habits and patterns that no longer serve me. And I see, Julia, that you typed in planning. Yeah, planning to a certain degree can really be helpful for many of us. Planning our day, planning our week, planning out our future. But over planning or getting these habitual patterns of planning every minute of our day or planning and replanning. So we're often disengaged from the present moment. So we can get stuck in these habitual loops of being stuck in this planning mode. And in some ways, actually being disengaged from the actual thing that we're planning for. So you may notice you planned a trip and then you get to a trip. And then now you're planning what you need to do when you get back from the trip. I'm noticing from Colleen, yeah, ruminating on the past. While it may be supportive to reflect back on things that happened in the past as a way to support us to gain wisdom from those insights, there's often a tendency to get caught up in those habitual loops of rumination, all patterns that often do nothing but get us caught up in this habitual reactivity, often causing worries and anxieties that often is associated with ruminating. So how often mindfulness could be our friend as it comes in as a stop measure to that rumination as we begin to wake up to our lives. So I want to guide us through a short reflection as a way to bring up to the surface what may be something that you're holding on to that may have served at one point, but is no longer serving you. So with that, I invite you once again to either lower the gaze or drop the eyes or close them completely if you feel comfortable in the space you're in. And once again, begin to notice how the body is, to use it as a tool to be present to what's here. So noticing their feet on the earth, maybe it's the sit bone, the hands. So allowing this body to be a tool to waking up to what's here. Noticing the different sensations that may be available to you in the body. It might be tingling, pulsing, vibrating. You may be aware of the heaviness or the lightness of the body. And if there's any unpleasantness or discomfort or pain, also seeing if you could bring kind, tender attention to meet it with compassion. And from this place of awareness, I invite you to silently ask yourself, what is it that I'm holding on to right now that is no longer serving me? And once again, give yourself the opportunity to step back and to become a witness to what is arising to the surface. What is it that I'm holding on to right now in this moment that is no longer serving me? And I invite you to be really gentle and kind and sensitive to how you meet this moment. Maybe it's patterns, maybe it's friendships, maybe it's certain thoughts or beliefs that you had. So just continue to kindly explore what is being presented to you. What am I holding on to that no longer serves me? And these habits and conditions might have been ingrained in us through past experiences, family conditioning, societal conditioning. So if you're seeing any shame or judgment around what's coming up for you, see if there's a possibility to suspend the judgment and instead infuse it with kindness. This is just how it is in this moment. So the possibility to be with it just as it is. And you may also be aware of emotions and even physical sensations that are linked to what's being unearthed for you. So being open to how that is unfolding as well. Also noticing the strength, the impermanence, the intensity of the quality of this moment as things change from one moment to another. Knowing this too, whatever is being experienced shall change. Being open to the texture, the flavor of this moment. What am I holding on to that no longer serves me? And then once this exploration feels complete to you, I invite you now once again to come back to the physical body as a way to be fully reconnected intimately with this moment, as a way to ground yourself back. And there's still maybe some residual effects from that exploration. And if that's still here, to honor that as well as you continue to bring the attention back to the body. And then when you're ready to transition, I invite you to bring some movement to the hands, the feet, and continue to cultivate movement that feels supportive. So keep listening to the wisdom of your body. What is it that it needs right now? And then if the eyes were closed, I invite you to blink them, to flicker them open, taking in the external stimulation piece by piece. And in these remaining 5 to 7 minutes or so we have, I'm curious to hear if anything came up for folks that you feel inspired to share through the chat. What came up for you in that practice? Any awareness around habits or patterns, things that may not have served you, but you're still choosing to engage in, and of course, really want to support your privacy. So only sharing to the degree you feel comfortable. So maybe be just a recognition without mentioning what that habit or pattern may be. Awareness, but also judgment. Thank you, Julia. Yeah, that's often these two things become linked the moment we have awareness around our habits and patterns, especially their unpleasant habits or patterns. There's often a tendency for this voice to come in to start judging that experience or judging ourselves for the way we may have showed up in the past, or even how we're showing up right now in this moment. So whenever you're noticing judgment come into your practice or into your life for that matter, is there a possibility to pause and then maybe to bring kindness and compassion? These habits or these patterns or whatever we held into the past or from the past, they might have been a reason for it. They actually may have served us in the past. They might have been a form of protection, a form of survival. So whenever we notice, is there a possibility to say, oh, okay, that's just how things were. Now I'm aware of it. Is there a possibility to change it? Taking responsibility for things that aren't mine. It's okay to simply let them go. Yeah, that seems like a tremendous awareness there, Heather. So often we could get wrapped up in other people's experiences or stories or situations, and then taking on this responsibility or this burden that may not even be ours to begin with. While it's commendable that we want to support and honor and serve one another, it's also really important. Where are my boundaries? Where are the lines drawn? Where can I say this isn't my responsibility? And then to also say it from a place of compassion. It's only in the last few years I've learned internally to say no and then still say no from a place of compassion. Because I've always taken saying no, or I don't want this, or I don't want that, as almost as a rejection of someone else or a rejection of the moment. But in the past few years, as I infused this moment with my practice, I'm like, oh, I could say no, say this is not mine, this isn't for me, and still say it from a place of compassion, both for me and then also the person or the moment that I'm engaged in. Something very difficult that I had trouble naming, says Susan, but I did name it. Very helpful. Yeah, it's the beauty, this double-edged sword that is awareness. That highlights everything. Doesn't just highlight the parts we want to see, but also highlights the parts maybe we've had covered up or hidden intentionally, consciously or unconsciously. So this awareness really becomes this incredible tool to highlight what's here, all of it, the full experience of what it means to be a human being, the pleasant, the unpleasant, the things we like, the things we don't like, the aversion, the attachment. But once again, what's really helpful here, touching back on Julia's point, where judgment may come in when we come into awareness of how we've showed up in relation to ourselves, in relation to others. So how can I continue to cultivate kindness and compassion and tenderness into my awareness? Because if we bring past experiences into our awareness and we don't meet those with kindness and compassion, often the judgment can create this tension, almost this tightness around what's happening, where curiosity and compassion often creates space around that experience so we could see it for what it is. So really want to invite each of us as we navigate the rest of our day and our week, whatever moments we're experiencing, especially when it's unpleasant, that opportunity to infuse kindness and compassion to it. And even if it's in hindsight, maybe you were judgmental towards yourself in the heat of the moment. So maybe it's hours later, or maybe it's the next day, that experience comes into your memory and said, oh, can I be kind now around that judgment? So even if it's in hindsight, really want to encourage each one of us to continue to infuse kindness into it. And we have just a few more minutes remaining. But curious to see if anything else came up for folks, even from hearing other people share or hearing my reflection of people sharing. Anything else here for folks that you want to bring into the space before we call it quits for today? Okay. So if there isn't anything else, before we wrap up, just want to really encourage each one of us to bring any level of awareness that may have been cultivated in this 25 minutes we've been together, to see if you could bring that onto whatever your next meeting, maybe it's a conversation, whatever you have planned next, see if you could bring this awareness and infuse that connection in a similar way. So really grateful for each one of you for being here and for practicing with me. And I hope to see you in the near future at one of the next Mind the Moments that I'll hold space for. You're welcome, Julia, Ashley, Ian. Welcome, Denise. Welcome, Janice. I'm really grateful for all of you for spending this morning with me. And I'll stay here for another minute or so in case anyone has anything else to add. But for everyone else, wishing you a wonderful Tuesday. Enjoy this crisp fall weather that we're having. You're welcome, Ian. Glad to have you spend this morning with me. Looking forward to seeing you at one of the next sessions I host. You're welcome, Francis. Have yourself a mindful day. You're welcome, Heather. It's always a pleasure to share this practice. Okay, I'll end the call now, but wishing the rest of you as well a wonderful rest of your morning and afternoon. Be well.